want to see it one more time? You want to see it one more time?
Sure.
Good.
They prayed for rain, but then the one girl prepared for it, and the other one was
And so why? What does that mean? What was going on in their thinking?
that God wasn't going to give them rain.
Yeah, so it was like, hey, let's all get together and pray for something, and then they were left going, oh, we don't really expect it to happen. And they're even like, the one girl who brings an umbrella, who said, well, just pray for rain, so I know God's able. The other guy's just kind of like, what are you doing? I mean, it was just so foreign to even expect God to do anything with that. I'm gonna ask a lot more questions tonight than I'm gonna answer. And it's just to introduce and get some thoughts as far as what you think about prayer. What kind of prayers are you? What kind of questions do you have? What are the struggles that you have? All of those kinds of things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of read, here's all my struggles and thoughts that I have with prayer. And so what I want you to do is, as I go through it, if there's anything that really clicks with you, you think, oh yeah, I've thought that before. Or, oh yeah, I've had that question. Or, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Just put a hand up. You don't have to keep it up the whole time. Just put it up and be like, oh yeah, I hear what you're saying. I get that. Got it? And then put down, you can put it up more than once. You can put it up as many times as you relate or click to what I'm saying. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Excellent. Good practice. So here's the thing. I don't think prayer is supposed to be difficult, and yet I find that it really is. And so there's so many things that I find that get in the way of praying. And I want to pray, but the moments when I get time to pray, sometimes I almost feel it's a waste of time, or it's just totally unproductive. And so I've got all these other things that need to get done or capture my attention, and so I end up not praying. And even if I talk about praying, I'll say things like, oh yeah, praying is really important, and God really wants us to pray, and I even want to be a good prayer. And yet, when it comes down to those moments when I have a choice to pray or do something else, a lot of times I do something else. Watch TV, take a nap, read, check my email, all the things that need to get done, because I find they just kind of take my attention, and prayer seems so unproductive. So I don't think prayer is supposed to be difficult, but I find it is even when I'm motivated to pray. So there's some mornings when I'll sit down, or somewhere in the afternoon, or I get time and I think, you know what, let me stop and pray. I really need to pray. And then I'll sit and I won't have anything to say. I'm just kind of like, So sometimes I'll think, well, maybe I could just worship God, but then it seems forced. And so I don't go in that direction. Or sometimes I'll think of all the things, that I could ask for. But then I feel bad about that too, because I don't want my prayer life to just be me asking for stuff. And then, even then, and I can sincerely, when I do ask for things, I always end up praying that God's will would be done. This is what I want, but God, I want your will. And then I'm left going, well, why am I even praying? What a waste of time if I'm just praying for God's will to be done. It's kind of like calling someone up and just saying, hey, just called to let you know whatever you're doing, that's what you're doing. Just want you to know. What's the point? I find myself asking that question, what's the point if I'm going to pray and ask God and then in the end go, but whatever it is that you want, that's really what I want. So sometimes though I'll just start talking, and sharing what's on my mind or on my heart or what I'm going to go through that day. But then I feel sometimes it's just me talking to the air, and it's just me kind of talking to myself. In fact, sometimes before long, that's exactly what it is, because my mind drifts, and before long I'm thinking about, well, what I would say this time if a person says that to me, and if that'll even happen this time. Or if it's late at night, of all embarrassing things, I'll even, fall asleep. So can you imagine? someone talking to you and they just kind of fall asleep, or they start talking and you can tell they're not talking to you, they're just kind of talking to themselves. You could get up and leave and they'd still be talking. And then I feel guilty about that, so I just kind of maybe stop and figure, well, maybe I'll try again some other time. Sometimes though, I really do pray what's on my heart, and I just let God know what's happening in my life. But then before long, I'm back into asking God for things, you know? And then I'm saying, oh man, my motivations stink, and then I feel guilty again because my motivation's wrong. And then I just kind of sit there and stop praying. Sometimes I ask God to speak, and I try to listen, and then thoughts will come into my head, but then I'm thinking, are those my thoughts or are those God's thoughts? And I don't really know, so I stop listening and try to start talking again. But I'm not really that much of a talker one-on-one, more of like a upfront kind of guy. So I like serving. So I wouldn't mind if I could serve more. I don't know if doing meals. I like doing meals for people, but I don't know if I have time to do that right now. If I could do something simple like refreshments or desserts. We could make stuff for our family. Do chocolate chip cookies or something, and then we can have some. And they could have some. I bet I could find a good chocolate chip cookie recipe on the web somewhere. Something with lots of brown sugar. Sorry. That was me talking to myself. Sometimes I do pray boldly. You know, like I'm really confident and it feels good and I have a peace about it and I'm really eager to see how God's going to answer my prayers. But then other times I don't even want to pray because I'm scared that God won't answer my prayer and it'll like look bad on him. As if he's not really there since he's not answering my prayers. So it's safer for my faith just not to pray and ask for anything. That way God's not put on the spot. And it just seems safer that way. So sometimes I'm not even sure, you know, how I'm supposed to pray. Am I supposed to expect God to answer my prayers? Or am I more like these people in the video who pray, but they're left saying, I don't really expect him to answer, we just pray because that's what we're supposed to do. So I think about that sometimes too. And I know that God sometimes says no, but sometimes I really think he always says no, you know? Sometimes when I ask for something, it actually happens, and I wonder if it was because I prayed or just because it was going to happen anyway. Sometimes I get really motivated, and to help me kind of stay focused, I have started a prayer list, you know, of things that I can be praying for and people I can be praying for. And then they say you should have a section where you can list and check off all the prayers that God has answered, you know. But then you end up with this like really long list, and it becomes kind of cumbersome, and it takes a lot of time, and it just becomes like kind of boring. And then at the end of it all, I end up going, but Lord, whatever you will, that's what I want. And pretty soon you're just saying, why am I bothering with this huge list when I don't even know if he's going to answer them or not? So I don't think prayer is supposed to be difficult, but those are all things I struggle with, and I find it is, even though it seems like it should be such a simple thing. Here's what you're going to do. We're going to split you up. Let's do guys and girls. We'll put the guys back here, and the girls over here. And I want you to discuss just this one key question in your groups, and then we'll come back and I want to hear what your thoughts are. All right, can we do that? So girls over here, we can pull some more chairs over. Guys back there.
Oh yeah.